Many looks of Boy George have startled British and American audiences alike, but his music has topped the charts all over the world.
There's only one thing that this world has got too many of. And that's cynical people. It's a song you'll probably remember us by more than anything else. It goes like this.
Boy George's public personality has made his group, Culture Club, one of England's most famous exports since the Beatles and the Rolling Stones. Last year, they won a Grammy as Best New Artist, and for the ever-colorful, ever-controversial George, a simple thank you wouldn't do.
Culture Club.
Thank you, America. You've got taste, style, and you know a good drag queen when you see one.
Born George O'Dowd in a middle-class neighborhood outside London, he is one of 6 children, the son of a construction worker. At school, George didn't do his homework and was placed in a program for problem children. He was eventually expelled at the age of 15. And for the next 5 years, George joined London's street culture, going to clubs and dressing outrageously. When we went to London to visit George, he took us to his old haunts along King's Road.
Barbara just bought herself some nice clothes.
Yes, I did.
It was the old haunts, but the new George. Short hair, no makeup. He brought along his friends, Philip and Paul. Paul is the one who looks like Paula.
I don't do that. I don't go to Bloomingdale's in New York like this, believe me.
No. Imagine what would happen. These jackets are great, but the shoulders are really funny, so like when you can't pad them, because I only buy things I can pad. I like big shoulders, you know.
It's nice to have something named after you.
And this pub here used to be like a really big punk pub. It's where they used to have all the bands playing. It used to be, I mean, it's much classier than it was.
But is punk still a big thing here? It's sort of past, hasn't it?
No, it's still a big thing. It is in suburbia. You know, it's like, punk is like normal now.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
So if punk is normal, what's new?
No, but they're not aggressive.
People like Philip, sort of freaks, you know. This is an English policeman.
Hello.
They like all that about
pictures?
What are you filming for?
You know who he is?
No, I don't.
You don't?
Margaret Thatcher, you know.
You don't think it looks like Margaret Thatcher? Do you have any idea?
Yes, I have actually. Yeah.
Now that you're looking at it?
Yeah.
Who do you think it is?
Boy George.
Ah.
At night, George took us to his favorite club, the Mud Club, on Charing Cross Road.
What are you saying?
Your new hairstyle.
Thanks, Butch, isn't it?
Very nice.
I think I look more like a man now.
It's a private club for the uniquely dressed, and George introduced us to some of his friends.
Debbie. Barbara Walton.
Hi, Barbara. Nice to meet you. I hear. Who did you interview last? Someone told me Prince Charles or something. Was that the last?
I interviewed Prince Charles.
Yeah, you have, haven't you?
Yes, it's only been a
New one now. I think you'll get better ratings, don't you?
George has 2 houses in London, a small one which is filled with his collection of Boy George dolls, crucifixes, and oriental masks. His bedroom, which is filled with stuffed animals and pillows, looks like a teenage girl's room.
Okay, Barbara, I'll take you past my many claims to fame.
Not bad, all this platinum.
And this room is my clothes pit, which is basically where I keep everything.
Where are the wigs?
In the bag. This is actually a conventional rubbish bag. And you have every colour you want.
Let's try.
Me?
Yeah, come on.
No.
And the black like
And
the
this
derby.
black hat, yeah, and my plaid.
Let's see, because that was the look that we first saw.
That's where that hat's
Yeah,
from.
I remember that.
Success is more apparent in his other house. It is a large Victorian once owned by comedian Monty Feldman, which Boy George is renovating. The house and its owner have changing faces. He is 23 years old, and he prefers to be called just plain George.
George, it's a new look. The short hair, your hair. I mean, when we went around town, you didn't even have it sprayed the way you do today. Why? Why change the whole image now?
The thing is, I don't think of it as an image. It's impossible to explain to people, but what happened to me 2 years ago is I became Boy George. I mean, I've always been George. I've always been outrageous, you know, for want of a better word. Yeah. And I suddenly became Boy George. I got up in the morning, I put on my hat. I became what people wanted to see. And it was very depressing for me because I am actually an extrovert person. And years before that, I'd gone around dressing up. And suddenly I was doing it for other people. And so now I'm back to my old self again. You know, when I want to cut my hair, I cut my hair. When I want to wear a wig, I wear a wig. And I think that if you are pleasing yourself, it does look better. You know, I did get very sort of depressed with that look, and I felt like, I almost felt like a doll.
But are you comfortable enough now with you so that you wouldn't have to wear the makeup at all?
I wear it because I want to.
Yeah.
You know, so many people say to me, oh, your gimmick. I haven't got a gimmick. My gimmick is my personality, you know.
Why did you start in the first place? Because you did it, as you said, long before it was fashionable, long before you ever thought that you were going to sing or be a star. Why? Tell me about that little kid who said one day...
It was basically, I think, when I was at school, I found the whole environment that I was in very boring. And I realized that there wasn't really any way that you could say to people, look at me. You know, there was no way of, unless you sort of like were violent or aggressive, there was no way of being heard. And it was my way, I suppose, of getting attention in the beginning. But eventually it became something that I really enjoyed. And it is no longer something I do for attention.
How old were you?
At 13.
I heard your mother used to take you to church and you wore the big platform shoes and the floppy hats.
Yeah.
Good heavens, what did the priests think?
I think they were grateful people came, because in those days it started to really deteriorate, you know. I mean, as a kid I went to Sunday school, like a religious school, every Sunday for years. So the priest was grateful to have me there. It's like, who can forget his shoes?
What kind of a kid were you?
Oh, when I was very young, it was a case of little boys should be seen and not heard.
Yeah.
I mean, my father was very strict in the sense that, you know, when he came home from work, he wanted silence. He didn't want, you know, he had 6 kids who made a lot of noise. And he would always say to us, you know, this is my time. I've worked hard, be quiet. So for a long time as a kid, I never really sort of, I used to stay out of the house a lot, you know. And I was very quiet as a kid, you know, very quiet.